It's been trading for nearly 100 years, but now HMV has become the latest casualty of Britain's struggling high street. More than 2,000 jobs are at risk at the music retailer, which has now confirmed that it's collapsed into administration. The administrator, KPMG, says the company will continue to trade as a going concern while it assesses options for the business, including a possible sale. Sky's Katie Spencer reports.
Its mascot, Nipper the Terrier, was there from the start, with gramophones and popular music recordings, the order of the day when HMV opened almost 100 years ago. Since then, it's helped countless generations to select the soundtrack to their lives, which is why the fact HMV is calling in administrators has been met with some sadness from those who'll miss the iconic brand.
It will be a great loss, actually. If you're into vinyl or music and you want to see something you want to touch and feel the goods, it's a shame. Amazon, chewed them up. Sorry.
Every Saturday and Sunday, me and my friends will go in and listen to music and buy things. At least we could buy a record, So it's part of my childhood, So I'm a bit sad if it's going to close down.
HMV opened its first store on Oxford Street in London in 1921. At its height, it boasted hundreds of stores worldwide. In 2002, the music giant had a £1 billion valuation when it floated on the stock market. And it's not the first to close its doors. Richard Branson's Virgin Music, which opened on Oxford Street in 1971, grew to hundreds of megastores across the world in the 80s and 90s before selling up in the mid-2000s. The Virgin stores in the UK were snapped up by Zavvi Entertainment in 2007, but the company also went into administration on Christmas Eve just over a year later. The fact is, in the last decade, streaming and downloads have meant we haven't needed to head out to the high street, and the effects have been felt by music retailers across the board. Where we are here on Berwick Street used to be so popular among music fans that even the band Oasis featured it on the front cover of its best-selling album. Since then, well, many of the shops here have pulled down their shutters, yet more casualties of the changing way that we consume music nowadays. So is it time really that we face the facts that there might not be a place for retailers that sell physical copies of records? Well, in theory, perhaps not. The market is still worth up to £2 billion a year. DJ Edward Adu says now's the time for independent stores to step in.
The only problem is, which I think with HMV, with other places, is speaking to that person behind the counter who is knowledgeable, who would tell you about the album sleeve, about the producer, and give you a comprehensive guide as to what the album or the single release is all about. I miss those days.
It is the second time in 6 years that HMV has called in the administrators. In 2013, it was able to find a buyer, and there are more than 2,000 employees who'll be hoping it can do the same now. Not to mention the many music fans who'll be hoping it isn't the last we've heard of his master's voice. Katie Spencer, Sky News.